Today, we're talking about smart cameras, a technology that's quietly becoming a bigger and bigger part of our daily lives. Our goal here is simple. It's to help you understand how they actually work so you can stay aware, stay calm, and stay safe. We're just here to inform and prepare you, not to create any fear.
So, let's just dive right in with a question that might sound a little strange. What if all those surveillance cameras we see everywhere don't actually watch us in the way that we imagine? This one idea is absolutely central to understanding the huge shift that's happening in surveillance technology right now. Think about how cameras used to work. It was pretty straightforward. They recorded raw video, and then they'd send that massive video file to a server for someone, somewhere, to watch later. Well, the new smart cameras are completely different. They analyze video right on the device itself, and they only send tiny bits of data, we call this analytics, to the cloud. So the whole game has changed from simply recording everything to understanding everything, almost instantly. To really get a handle on this, we're going to walk through 5 key areas. We'll start with this idea of the unseen watcher. Then we'll look at how the technology thinks, see where it's popping up in our world, understand the privacy risks, and finally, we'll cover some practical steps on how you can stay aware.
All right, so let's start with this concept, the unseen watcher. This whole idea is built on a technology called edge analytics. Now, that might sound complicated, but edge just means the processing happens right where the data is captured, on the camera itself, instead of in some far-off data center.
So here's the crucial point. By not sending raw video, companies can say these systems are more private, and, in some ways they are. But this incredible efficiency also enables something totally new. The ability to profile behavior in real time across thousands of cameras at once, and that's all because the data is so tiny and easy to process.
So how do these cameras actually think? Well, it's not magic. It's really just a clear 3-step process that happens in a blink of an eye. And if we can understand this process, we can really understand its impact.
So it all starts with the camera's built-in AI chip, which processes the video as it happens. Then it's local intelligence. These are just pre-programmed models. Recognizes patterns, like say a person loitering or a crowd starting to form. And finally, it syncs just a tiny summary of that event to the cloud. And remember, it's not sending the video, just a quick description of what it saw.
And that little description, that's what we call metadata. Probably the easiest way to think about it is like this. Metadata is the book report, not the book itself. It's just a short summary, how many people, where they went, and when it happened, without all the detail of the full video. Just take a look at this example. A single line of text, 5 people entered, 1 person loitering, vehicle detected at 3:05 p.m. That one little piece of data, sent from a camera to a server, paints a really clear picture of what's going on, and it doesn't need a single frame of video to do it. It's incredibly efficient, and that's what makes it so powerful.
Okay, so where might you actually run into this technology?
The truth is, it's probably already a part of your daily life, in places you go every single day. Let's look at a few real-world examples. So in retail stores, it can create heat maps to show where shoppers spend the most time, which helps the store with its layout. In smart cities, it can instantly detect a traffic accident and alert emergency services. Airports use it to manage passenger flow and hopefully cut down on some of those long lines. And in factories, it can check to make sure workers are wearing the proper safety gear. In all these cases, you see, it's designed to be a tool for making things more efficient and safe. And that brings us to maybe the most important part of this whole discussion, the hidden privacy risks. Because this technology is so subtle and often invisible, its impact on our privacy can be really easy to miss. Let's break this down into 3 parts.
So the first risk is what's called behavior profiling. A single piece of metadata from one camera is probably anonymous, but when you start to combine data from dozens of cameras over time, you can start to reconstruct a person's daily habits, their commute, and eventually even their identity. And you can do all that without ever storing a single picture of them.
The second risk has to do with facial recognition. Some of these systems don't store your photo, but what they do is create a unique mathematical code based on your face, kind of like a digital face print. Now, this code is anonymous by itself, but if it's ever leaked or matched to a name, your identity can suddenly be attached to it.
And the third risk is pretty simple. The monitoring is always on. Because the camera isn't sending a constant stream of heavy video data, there's no obvious sign that it's actively analyzing everything it sees. The analysis can just happen, continuously, silently, in the background.
And this gets us to the core paradox of it all.
The very feature that gets marketed for privacy, the fact that it's not sending video, is what makes this kind of data collection so efficient and so scalable. And sometimes that little summary can tell a much more revealing story than hours of raw footage ever could.
So, knowing all of this, what can we actually do? Well, the goal isn't to avoid technology, but to engage with it wisely. This last section is all about practical, calm steps that we can all take to just stay aware.
First off, ask for transparency. Whether it's at your workplace or in your community, you can ask what data is being collected and where it's being stored. Second, check the regulations in your area and support clear rules about how biometric data can be used. For your own home, try to choose security systems that store your data locally, right there on the device, not in the cloud. And finally, we should all start treating metadata as the sensitive information it truly is.
You know, it all comes back to a core principle. It doesn't matter if it's a strange email or a new technology, the safest approach is to always stop, think, and verify. Just take that extra moment to understand what's happening and what information you're sharing.
And if there's one idea to take away from all this, it's this. Surveillance in our world is shifting. It's becoming less about a person watching a screen and more about a system analyzing data to understand patterns and to predict what you might do next.
Look, the goal here is not to fear technology, but just to stay informed and to be cautious. Because at the end of the day, awareness is protection. If you stay alert, you stay safe.
Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay aware, and please share this information with your family.